Okay. Let's explore the lovely possibility of coherency. In my days as an engineer working on the space shuttle program at the Kennedy Space Center, I learned a lot about the physical sciences. And in that realm, a term we sometimes use for an energetic system in its natural state is coherency. When something is in its naturalness, we'll say that it's coherent. It's in a state of coherency. While working at the Space Center, I also learned that if you cryogenically freeze gases, they become liquids. What a mystery that is. Just consider that for a moment. If you artificially freeze a gas, like oxygen and hydrogen we used at the Space Center, they become liquids at certain temperatures. You have to get them really, really cold using what's called cryogenics. So if you cryogenically freeze oxygen, it will become a gas. It'll change from a gas to a liquid. And if you cryogenically freeze hydrogen, it will turn into a liquid at a certain temperature. You have to get them really, really, really cold. I think oxygen is minus 287 degrees Fahrenheit when it turns into a liquid. And I think hydrogen is minus 423 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. Well, this is the fuel that's used to help the space shuttle launch into space. When you combine liquid oxygen with liquid hydrogen in the main engines of the orbiter, it will create a controlled explosion that creates enough thrust to launch the space shuttle into orbit, out of the Earth's gravitational field. This is amazing. Well, while working there, I also learned about some scientists that were exploring what would happen to uranium if they cryogenically froze uranium. As they kept lowering the temperature of the uranium that they were monitoring using cryogenic freezing, it got colder and colder and colder. And as I recall, I think it was at minus 459 degrees Fahrenheit, all of a sudden there was a liquid forming on the surface of the uranium. Well, they knew that that had to be a gas. They didn't know what gas it was, but it turns out it was helium. They scooped up this liquid off of the surface of the uranium and put it in its own tank at that same temperature, minus 459 degrees Fahrenheit. And they had a whole plexiglass tank filled with this liquid at minus 459 degrees with a lid on top of it. And it was see-through, where they could monitor what was going on inside the tank, because they wanted to see what happens to this gas when it returns back to its natural state, when they start removing the cryogenic freezing. They want to see as it's returning to coherency, this term that we use in some of the physical sciences as a way to refer to when something's in its natural state. So they're watching this liquid in the tank, and they're slowly removing the cryogenic freezing and letting it return to coherency, its natural state. Right below 1% coherency, all of the molecules in the tank started flying all over the place. Mass chaos going on inside the tank. And this was very surprising. Wow, look what's happening here. Mass chaos is going on inside the tank. And then, as they continued to remove the cryogenic freezing, when it got right to 1% coherency, instantly the whole tank became coherent. All it took was 1%. This is the physics of energetic field dynamics. All it had to reach was 1% coherency, and the whole tank became coherent. And there was mass chaos right below 1%, right at the threshold of 1%. Now, in ancient spiritual traditions, which I have had the great honor and joy of getting to be a part of for many years, in a lot of the ancient lineages that go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, it is shared in the ancient wisdom texts that there is a threshold of the energetic field that we're all in together, which I sometimes call the Shakti field. Shakti is a Sanskrit word that means the energy of existence, the energy of everything. Everything is made of Shakti. In Sanskrit, we would use that word. So I sometimes refer to this field as the Shakti field. Now, in many ancient spiritual lineages that go back thousands and thousands of years, there's ancient writings that speak of a threshold in which a planetary shift could happen. And if there are enough beings incarnated on Earth that are in their state of coherency, our natural state of realizing inherent wholeness, that we're not separate from each other, that everyone and everything is a unique expression of one source essence. Shakti is one way to refer to that source essence. Many lineages have many names for this oneness that we all are unique expressions of. And in these ancient lineages, they speak of if we ever were to have enough incarnated humans in their coherency, awake to their naturalness, in that natural state of wholeness and unity, and aware that we're not separate, not captured in the wanter or the problem solver mind, awake to our true essence, the love we are. You know how I speak of wanter dynamics and the love we are. If we're captured in the wanter dynamics, which isn't wrong or bad, we are exploring wanter dynamics. This is a realm where we get to explore all of that. But we will always still be the love we are. If we have 1% of the human population established and stabilized in the love we are, that peace, that kindness, that compassion, that awareness of wholeness, it would create a planetary shift. This is spoken of in the ancient lineages. 1%. Currently, the population on Earth is somewhere around 8 billion, are the latest estimates. 1% of 8 billion is 80 million. So, let us playfully be in a place of wonder. What would that be like if there were 80 million people awake and stabilized? If there were 1% of us. Now, if we take a look at the current situation on planet Earth, we've got quite a chaotic global situation going on. And remember, in the tank of helium, right below 1%, all of the molecules got very chaotic. And right at 1%, instant coherency. Well, we're pretty chaotic. So what a fine and lovely possibility for us to consider that maybe we're right below the 1% threshold. Because if we consider there are more humans now than I can ever remember in my lifetime interested in the truth. What is the truth? So many more people interested in spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, chanting. So many more people. And with the internet, so many more people finding out about these things. The word is spreading. More and more people are becoming interested and open to ancient traditions as a way of opening up and directly experiencing what is the true nature of reality. The practices that I invite all of you into, name that thought practice, problem solver mind practice, first growl practice, living practice, loving blessing practice, Shiva Bhavana, Viveka, Atma Vichara, Madhya Vikasa. Many of these practices that I learned at the ashram, and several of those other ones that I mentioned first, are ones that kind of came to me from my lived experience. And chanting. I have found these to be very beneficial ways, very natural ways of becoming more stabilized and established in coherency. If we use our science term for our spiritual explorations, we let this be a confluence of rivers, the nature of physical sciences and the nature of the ancient spiritual lineages coming together in a beautiful confluence that creates a whole new river, a coherency river, in which instantly, if we reach that threshold, all beings will awaken to their heart, to the love we are. And there'll be no more wars. There will be no more murder, stealing, hoarding of resources. Things will shift. Now, what will it be like? Can't say for sure. So everything I just said is, of course, speculation. I don't know for sure. But I can say for sure that I have dedicated my life to this lovely possibility of coherency. What a fine adventure. Wow. Whew.